Now, I'm going to start with one of the stranger stories I've heard in a while, one many of you brought to my attention, so thank you for that. Anyway, over the past weekend, apparently Hayden Christensen and Ian McDiarmid, who of course play Anakin and Palpatine, were set to do a panel at a convention in Salt Lake City, Utah called FanX, until the panel got cancelled at the very last minute, reportedly after Disney threatened to take legal action against those putting on the convention if they let the two go on stage, for fear that they might drop some Episode 9 spoilers, apparently. And to be clear before I go on, I've found nothing to confirm that's the case, that Disney or Lucasfilm was the one that shut them down. Nothing official on the matter has been said by either side as far as I know at the time of recording this. So all we do know for certain is that, yes, the two were set to go on stage, but the panel got cancelled, again at the last minute, and that according to someone who was there, the reason given to them was that Disney wasn't going to allow it to happen. And this is odd on so many different levels, because I don't know how Disney could threaten to sue the convention unless perhaps they'd been advertising it as some sort of official Star Wars thing, for lack of a better way of putting it, without having Disney or Lucasfilm's permission to do so. But if that's not the case, if they'd just been advertising it as more or less these two guys who'd been in Star Wars, being at their convention and doing a panel, well, then Disney would have no grounds to attempt to shut them down or sue them. Because Disney doesn't own these two guys, they can't stop them from speaking, so if they wanted to get together and do a panel like this, well, it's on them. Any and all fault for either one of them may be saying something that they shouldn't say that broke an NDA or a non-disclosure agreement that they'd signed, well, it would fall on them, not the convention that facilitated the panel, so how you could sue the convention is beyond me. For example, if in some alternate universe I got to interview these two guys for a video and they started spilling spoilers about Episode 9 and I posted the video, I don't get in trouble for that. They do. Disney would have no grounds to take any action against me for disseminating the information. So again, unless Disney took issue with the way the panel was being advertised, I don't see how they could shut things down. Not to mention, why wait until the very last minute to do that unless they only caught wind of it at the very last minute? However, if Disney went to either Hayden and or Ian and told them doing this convention violates the terms of a contract that they're under, that perhaps one or both of them are not allowed to attend unsanctioned events or conventions like this until after Episode 9, I would imagine, well, that would make far more sense here. But it still doesn't explain why they didn't know that well in advance. Why Hayden and Ian, who are no doubt veterans of this sort of thing and know the drill when it comes to movie releases, didn't know in advance that they went against their contract by attending this convention, or why Disney waited till the last minute to shut them down unless they didn't know about it again until the last minute. And though I'll freely admit I'm no expert in the types of contracts these guys sign, I can only imagine they're extremely extensive and comprehensive, that the teams of lawyers a company like Disney and Lucasfilm have make sure to cover all their bases, and that until the movie comes out, and likely to some extent even after it, what the actors can and cannot do or say publicly is very limited. Which brings us right to the question I know is on the mind of many of you. Was this some sort of weird publicity stunt to tease us about Anakin being in Episode 9? Was this done to drum up interest in the movie? Well, I'd like to flat out say no, because say what you will about Disney and Lucasfilm, but I'd really like to believe they have more integrity than this, that they wouldn't stoop to cheap gimmicks when it comes to marketing or hyping up their movie. I also don't want to believe that Hayden and Ian would have gone along with something like this. Not that they likely would have had a choice, assuming there is any truth to this. For all we know, they're just as upset about how things played out as everyone else involved is. Because, to put it bluntly, if this was some kind of orchestrated gimmick, it was a real dick move to do that to the people who went to this convention wanting to see these two guys talk. Because I know if I lived in Utah, or anywhere close to it really, I would have been there to see these guys talk some Star Wars, and I wouldn't have been very happy when it got cancelled at the last second. This then leads us to speculate about what tactics Lucasfilm and Disney may or may not be using right now in order to hopefully ensure the hype and eventual success of The Rise of Skywalker, which comes out this December. And you can bet your bottom dollar that they do have some sort of carefully coordinated strategy already in play. The only question is how devious, I guess you could say, it might or might not be. What levels they're willing to stoop in order to get people really interested in this movie so that the initial opening weekend, before any word of mouth can really get out there, can be huge. And that, again, hopefully it's good and that word of mouth will be positive as well. And so there are some people right now, and I certainly think it's a strong possibility, that believe all these leaks and rumors coming out as of late might be either misinformation just to get people talking and theorizing, and it's of course working, or they're testing the waters to see how people feel about what direction the story should go in, and will, when all is said and done, I assume, settle on the least controversial, or what they think people found the best or most interesting. There are even reports out there that there's a dozen different edits of the film or something like that right now. Many different ways it could play out, and they'll go with whichever they feel will do the least damage at this point. Because let's be real here, even if they never publicly come out and admit that The Last Jedi cost them some fans, or a lot of fans perhaps, they still know it did. They know how angry a lot of people were with that movie, and they don't want to do that again. Kathleen Kennedy even said recently that she appreciates all the fan feedback, even the negative feedback, and J.J. Abrams has also said something very similar as of late. And yeah, I know a lot of you who watch my videos are firmly in the camp that Star Wars is dead, and you're only here to listen to me report on the aftermath of the train wreck. And though I'm not here to necessarily change your mind about the franchise one way or the other, instead I'm just here to give you my honest take on things, and you can take it or leave it if you want. I will say that I fully believe that they are going to try everything in their power to make a good movie out of Episode 9 that all the fans will love and enjoy, that they will try to fix the damage caused by The Last Jedi. Now, can they pull that off? In theory, yeah, of course they can. Will they pull it off, though? Well, I don't know. We can't know that until after the movie. All I know right now is, once it's out, I'll tell you what I think, good or bad, and again, it's up to you to do what you will with whatever I have to say. And for those of you who think I'm going to automatically pan the movie no matter what, well, do keep in mind I freely admit that I enjoyed Solo, and that certainly came out after The Last Jedi. And despite the fact that going into that movie, I had quite a bit of doubt about someone else playing Han Solo, and there's also the fact that, well, I didn't really need or want a Han Solo backstory in the first place. So no, it wasn't a great movie, mind you, but I still ended up enjoying it for what it is. So going into Episode 9, I of course have my doubts again, but I do still think there's a solid chance the movie will end up being, at the very least, good on its own, but that the movie will also not fix the problems of the whole sequel trilogy. In fact, I think that's entirely the game plan right now. Just make one good movie here at the end so that they have a bit of momentum heading off into the unknown with that next trilogy 3 years down the road. Because if they can't get the core of Star Wars right, if they entirely mess up the new ending of the Skywalker saga, why should any of us fans believe they could get something completely new and different right about Star Wars? And that's why I do believe it's possible that they're letting some information, quote-unquote, leak out so that they can see the response to it and adjust the movie accordingly if something happens to meet with a storm of backlash. But not only that, but spoiling the return of Palpatine in the first teaser trailer and hinting at Darkseid Rey in the footage shown at D23, well, those are two huge reveals that, if saved for the movie, and if done correctly in the movie, could have been incredible surprises. Yet they've already been ruined, most likely because, again, they want to gauge reaction and adjust accordingly. And you can look at all of this in two very different ways. One being that they're trying to give the fans what they actually want this time. They're trying to avoid another Last Jedi incident, where they do something with the film that instantly turns away a good portion of the fan base. Or you can look at it as if they have no confidence in the story they want to tell, that they have no idea on their own what the fans want out of Star Wars, and they have to use gimmicks to try to gauge reaction. But that is again, of course, if Disney and or Lucasfilm are actually behind any of these leaks in the first place, which there's no proof of it. And as I've said before in other videos covering all of these leaks and rumors, most of them are pretty damn bad. So I truly hope these are not possible story ideas that they're pitching to us secretly. Just today, in fact, and possible spoiler alert, because I guess this could be a legitimate leak, but there are rumors out there that Rey will have the ability to heal people, and that she'll accidentally use Force Lightning in Episode 9. And as I said to those in Discord this morning when we were talking about this, if that happens, if Rey can heal and use Force Lightning, people will almost certainly walk out of the theater, and I just might be one of them. Because the ability to heal is something that we have not seen in the new canon thus far, and it's really something that, if ever brought into it, should be reserved for the most powerful of light side users. And I hate to even say powerful light side user because, well, it's not about power on the light side. And if that same person can use what should be a strong or advanced light side ability, can also use Force Lightning, a power that we know in canon is only used by those who have mastered the dark side, well, then it'll be clear they don't understand Star Wars at all. And I know there are many fans out there who think to balance the Force, one must embrace both the dark side and the light, somehow. And I say somehow because that doesn't really make sense, and I'm not sure how one could even accomplish that, but I suppose if anyone could figure it out, it would be Rey. And relax, that was just a joke, at least I hope. Because mastering the dark side has never been even remotely what Star Wars is about. And if you think it is, well, I really don't know what movies you've been watching. Rather, the idea presented in them is that you can't master the dark side, that the only way to use it is to think inward, to only care about yourself, and to let your passion and emotions guide you. The dark side is an inescapable path of fear, anger, hatred, and suffering that leads to ruin both for the user and those around them, while the light side is basically the exact opposite of all that and achieves the opposite of that. So the idea that someone could use both sides effectively is, well, to put it plainly, it's just dumb, because they require radically different mindsets or philosophies that can't just be flipped like a switch on a whim. In closing here, do I think Disney and Lucasfilm may be up to something in order to get people talking about Episode 9? Well, of course they are. Of course, there's a multi-layered approach to their marketing strategy for this movie. I just don't know how low they'd go, like canceling a panel at a convention right before it was supposed to happen. However, would they leak things out to, in a way, test the waters beforehand? Absolutely. Why not potentially avoid a huge mistake beforehand and just claim you had no part of the leak in the first place, especially when it doesn't happen in the movie? And even if they're not the ones leaking any of this, and everything we're hearing is made up, or close to everything is made up, they're probably still keeping tabs on things. They no doubt have people or a whole damn department dedicated to keeping tabs on social media. And if any of them happen to be watching this video now, just let me say hello there. Well, that's all I've got for this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think. Would Disney and Lucasfilm go so far as to cancel a panel last minute in order to get people excited about Anakin possibly being in Episode 9? Or is that going too far? Also, do you think they're behind any of these leaks and rumors we keep hearing, or do you think someone else is either making it up or getting the information elsewhere? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments below, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.